Welcome to the Trading Psychology and Mindset Podcast. My name is Ash Plaisted. I'm your host as always. Now, as you know from watching my podcast, I'm an active trader myself, as well as being a very curious student of human nature, how our minds work. And understanding how our brain and mind work was the pivotal shift that changed my trading life. And understanding this is fundamental to every trader breaking through to consistent profitability, which, let's be honest, that's what all of us want, right? And this podcast will answer that question and provide real, tangible, and actionable steps you can take to train the mind you bring to trading into the mind you need for trading success. Now, before we get started, be sure to head over to my website, www.mindsetfitmethod.com, where you can check out more helpful content, plus subscribe to my newsletter, the Mindset Reflexology newsletter, where I dive deeper into all these advanced trading mindset strategies. Now, adapt or die, the natural selection process of trading. In this episode, we'll be covering the mindset of adaptability that is vital for trading success. So let's head over and get started. Okay, I think a great place to start this episode about adaptation would be to quote Charles Darwin, the naturalist, geologist and scientist, who said this: "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change." Now, let's take that forward into trading. Everybody out there, I'm sure all of you have experienced natural selection of evolution and trading. Everybody. And trading is a perfect laboratory to be able to look at evolution and particularly adaptation. And what I want to do is not get too sciencey on you, but I want to talk about how powerful of an event that you've walked into when you trade. So when you trade, you are taking a mind that was developed through millennia to be able to control outcome, to win, to make things happen, and to not lose. And why? That is the question. Because if you couldn't handle that, if you couldn't control the outcome, the environment, and lost, you became somebody else's meal, somebody else's energy supply, somebody else's power. Yes, you heard that correctly. And what happened is that we evolved to the point where we really became a dominant species. And we don't even think about what we've brought into the modern world from this 6.5 million years plus of evolution. Then we get to trading. All that skill set about winning, okay, all that hating to lose and wanting to make things happen that has served you so well as traits, well, guess what? They certainly turn against you in trading, right? Again, the question is why? And let's have a look at this a little bit more closely. So the environment's changed, of course. The rules of success in trading are enormously different from the rules of success in the jungle. And here's the deal. Remember, that jungle mind wants you to win. That caveman mind wants you to win, wants you to make things happen, doesn't want to lose, really, truly wants to be in control, okay? So that wanting to make things happen, that winning and trading are very different. It's a probability-based world in trading, whereas this ordinary world we live in day to day and adapted to is really more of a certainty world. Well, it certainly looks certain and we make it feel certain. But what happens is that in trading, that illusion gets totally busted wide open. And you find out that no, really the world's very uncertain and we are very unprepared evolutionarily for this fact. Trading is inherently uncertain. Your regular life, that where you can make things happen, that's different. But in trading, everything is uncertain. So in your regular life, you think you're in control, right? Blah, blah, blah. But in trading, you're not in control. You're in probability. That's the state of being. And what happens is your brain comes in, bumps into that, and it fails over and over again. And here's the deal. Failing is okay. However, if you fail to adapt, you perish. So it's not the failing that's the problem. It's the lack of adaptability that's the problem. And guess what? This happens a lot in trading. In my work, over the last 25 years, I have worked with hundreds of traders and can say without hesitation that the vast majority, they don't know how to adapt. They don't even know they need to adapt often. and they keep failing. And even when they occasionally do know they need to adapt, there is still an enormous gulf between that dawning awareness and knowing what to actually do. So here's the big learning point, right? Failing in evolution is the signal for adaptation to come forward. You need to adapt to the new circumstances or you perish. That's how we all ended up here. We all evolved through failing in evolution and adapting and surviving. Now we need to bring that mind to trading. So the deal is, how do you go about adapting to the trading world, an alien world that you were completely unprepared for? In fact, most likely you didn't even know it existed. So you just show up in it. And the deal is that the most successful species, as Darwin said, is not the biggest, the strongest, the smartest. It's the most adaptable. The one that can adapt when the world changes. So can you adapt to it? Can you move forward? Or are you stuck there? And most traders get stuck in a particular world, a particular way of viewing the world that doesn't serve them in this new world, this trading world that they walked into of probability, of uncertainty. So again, in trading, there is no control over certainty. There is no control that you can force your habit onto. And besides that, you don't control whether you win or lose, okay? And this is where it gets really interesting, right? Winning and losing. Now, winning gave our caveman ancestors a sense of power, of authority, of status, of safety. However, fast forward to today, and suddenly your isolated self, which trading is very isolated, can't do that. And you exist inside a trading bubble of probability, of winning or losing, but you bought a mind that's only focused on one part of that, which is winning, and the brain freaks out. It's simply not prepared for that. It hasn't been adapted for that. And all of a sudden, you go in and you find yourself, oh my God, I'm failing, and I start triggering to fight, flight, and then you perish. Your mind blows up and your account blows up. And before you know it, many, many traders end up outside of trading because they lose their life, metaphorically. They lose money, capital, their capital, and they've perished from the trading environment. That's where the vast majority of the 95% who don't survive long term, this is exactly where they fail and fail to adapt. So on the other side of that, the adaptive trader, the adaptive organism that you need to be, is going to say, okay, what I've been doing isn't working. I need to adapt. So we must ask ourselves, what does that look like? Well, at the very core of it, once you grasp this, right, this is really about managing uncertainty. It's about developing beliefs about your ability to manage the challenges of uncertainty that are simply part of your day in trading. Now, that brain wasn't there before you showed up in trading, okay? You don't bring that with you naturally. You're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to build that brain that produces the mind that is comfortable with uncertainty, with not being in control of winning or losing, and also not making things happen. This new trading mind has to be disciplined, number one, patient, number two, impartial, number three, and self-compassionate, number four. And guess what? I know your trading mind will be saying to you, you're thinking you hate losing. You'll do anything but lose. Well, guess what? You're going to perish. This is a big inflection point for traders. That mindset of I'm going to win will be the fast track to perishing. We need to use that as the trigger to adapt. In trading, what you discover is you have to become an enormously good loser. I know this is counterintuitive. No one likes to lose, yet you have to become a very good loser. Of course, you have to keep the losses small. You don't give your life away. This is how you become successful in trading. You see the adaptation from the world that you were in, and no matter how successful that you were way back then, it doesn't matter now. You're in a new world. You wake up, you buy into this trading stuff, right? This is what happens with most traders early on. You wake up, you get into the trading world, you buy into the trading stuff, and suddenly, you have this knowledge. You've seen intellectually that, oh yeah, I understand that it's all about probability, blah, blah, blah. But then you actually get into the game and find out your body, your brain, your caveman brain just doesn't know. It doesn't buy into that probability stuff. It wants the certainty of survival. It wants the power to make things happen. And yet it has to become a very patient hunter. Let's talk about the patient hunter mindset versus the predatory mindset. Now, it has to move away from the African lion that stalks and takes down big prey and also has heavy losses, right? You have to transform that kind of hunting into, say, what a jaguar does, right? The jaguar's enormously patient. It waits to see what the forest will give it. Then it attacks, but by stealth, by ambush. It's an ambush. It's completely different to the lion. This is where we begin to see these two brains and minds are very different. And you as a human being, this is one of the miracles of being human. You have the gift of being in charge of your own adaptation. That is completely unique. There's no other species on the planet that can consciously be in charge of its own adaptation. And here's where the opportunity comes in. And the question is, are you going to do it? Yes or no, right? If it's a yes, I hope it is. How do you do it? How do you adapt? And trying harder by being the toughest, getting more knowledge, being the best African lion hunter? No, no, no. That is incorrect. You have to first understand emotion, and emotion's not what you think it is. It's what's called a biological action potential. And I know I mentioned this many times in other episodes, and I'll keep mentioning it. Understanding emotion is a first thing to understand, and it's a biological action potential. It exists to coordinate action between you, the trader, and the environment, which is the market. And that's the deal right there. That has you as a trader going, oh, right, these BAPs, these biological action potentials happen blazingly fast, just a few microseconds, like 0.06 of a second. What you have is a set way that your brain has when it engages uncertainty, when it feels vulnerable. It feels confused and it starts to go ape, basically. It goes to fight, flight, and all of a sudden you start making very irrational decisions. This is what happens when the brain is left untended and these biological action potentials are coordinating the action between you and the market. That's at the very core of the belief that you couldn't handle it. This is what sits at the base, the powerlessness of actually facing uncertainty. And you're going to have to learn, right, that in the probability mind, that power is experienced as patience. This is where the link to patience, that jaguar ambush predator, is critical. And power in trading is being a very, very good and patient loser. So if you can keep the losses small, you don't go ape, and you maintain disciplined, patient authority, the great news is that can be taught, friends. What I encourage you to do from here is go to my website, mindsetfitmethod.com, have a look at that and start saying, do I want to adapt to this world that I'm involved in, this trading world, or do I want to make things happen my way, right? If you want to do that, make things happen your way, and I say good luck to you. It may be that you find a way through it all, but most likely that's where failure awaits you. Like all of the millions of the 95% who don't make it long term have gone down that path. That's the world of evolutionary psychology. That's not adapting. Or what you can do is you can say, what are the tools I need to learn to be able to adapt? Not just my emotion, but also my beliefs about my ability to manage the uncertainty of trading and the challenges of life, to be honest. How can I go about adapting those for this new world of trading so that I can find success in them? So friends, come and see, now is the time to begin traveling down your own path to self-mastery in trading. Adapt the mind you bring into the mind you need. Come and learn, go to my website, enjoy all the learning materials there. Highly encourage you to subscribe to the Mindset Reflexology newsletter, where I dive deeper into advanced trading mindset strategies. So friends, make a move in the right direction. Take action now. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Trading Psychology and Mindset Podcast.